YouTube. All right, so we'll start off like usual with the events. So this weekend, I mentioned in the past, got two events. One in North Vernon, Indiana. It's the St. Mary's Festival, and the other one is in Columbus, Indiana. Scottish Festival at the Columbus Fairgrounds. And then on September 15th through 17th is Comiskey Fall Festival. And I haven't mentioned this one. So I've been to it a couple times in the past. It is a pretty cool little festival. Of course, they got your traditional little booths, buy stuff, and they got food and stuff like that. They also have some really cool events. So they have normally donkey races, and some of them donkeys ain't broke yet. They also have like grease pig contests and stuff like that. So, excuse me. So I'm not sure exactly what days and times that is, but again, it's September 15th through 17th, and I think they do have their own little platform on Facebook, Comiskey Fall Festival. If you guys want more detail, you guys can check it out on your own. All right, so let's get into it. What do you need to know for this fall? So again, this is a farming homesteading channel, so that's what we're going to be talking about. So one thing a lot of people don't realize or never considered, foraging. So if you guys, I don't know if you guys actually own some woods, or you guys got family or friends that owns woods, or maybe you just want to go out and to some of the state's forests and stuff like that. But there are some ways to make money just in the woods. So for instance, persimmons, our persimmon trees, at least here in southern Indiana, they're about ready. They're about to the right size now. All they got to do is turn colors and they're going to be ready as soon as they turn orange. So you can actually sell them roughly for $5 a pound. There's some people that you have to pay a lot more than that for. There's some a little less, but average about $5 per pound for persimmons. And persimmons is one of them. If you guys like hunting, not only are they good for human and make pudding and stuff out of, but deer absolutely love them. So maybe you guys own woods and you guys never really explored this time of the year, but right now is the perfect time to actually get out there and go check the woods, because if you guys got a persimmon tree and you guys deer hunt, that is where you want to be. Now other animals eat them as well, turkeys and stuff like that, but you guys want to know where it is. That's a really good place to hunt, and like I said, make money. Nuts, walnuts. Our walnuts they're getting close to being about their eye size. The holes, of course, they're about always green, but they're getting pretty close. I'm not sure how much people charge around here for walnuts. We may end up selling some this year. Now, granted, you got to take the coating off of them, which you can even. I've seen a lot of people, they'll get like a 5-gallon bucket, put walnuts in there, put water, leave them in there overnight, go in there the next day with a drill and swoosh that all around and knock them hulls off, and then take the nuts and dry them off. But that liquid, you can actually take that liquid, strain it out, and you can sell that liquid as walnut stain, which a lot of people, I mean, it's a pretty color. Staining your wood and stuff, whether it be for your decking or just for your arts and crafts, whatever, or furniture. So walnuts, hickory nuts, so on, will be ready. A lot of things people do is firewood. Now granted, you're going to need permission for sure, which you ought to ask permission if you don't own the land anyway. Don't just go trespassing. And don't be cutting firewood down in no national forest unless you guys just want to go to jail. But firewood is a really good income. The price of firewood is going up. It used to be about $20 a rick. I think this past year, I think a lot of people was selling it to $30 to $35 a rick, and I can only imagine it's going to go up even higher this year. So, and I do encourage, if you guys don't have a wood stove in your house, I do encourage you guys to go get you a shed or something and put you a wood stove in their shed, because I don't know if you guys been looking at some of the news, but there's been a ton of brownouts. There's been a bunch of blackouts. And if we have another really cold winter this year, guys, I don't want nobody dying. Get get something so you guys can keep your family safe and warm. I mean, even if you have to go live in your shed for a couple days, if we really have a severe one, get something now, prepare now for later. And like I said, that's a good source of income. Another thing that's about to happen whenever the cold temperatures start coming in, which is going to be pretty soon, it's just right around the corner, people's going to start thinning out their herds and their flocks and stuff, because they do not want to take care of them through the winter time because of the cold. The water's going to start freezing. They want to lower their feed costs. And I mean, there's just a lot of different reasons. Most people don't want to be out in the cold very long. So if you're looking for a replacement ram or goat or bull, or maybe maybe you don't have any animals whatsoever, people are going to start, like I said, reducing their prices on a lot of their stuff. Now, there may be some stuff that they don't reduce. Some people are just bullheaded. I'm not going to give it away. And some people just butcher them and throw them in their own freezer, which, it's their animals. They can do what they want. But there are going to be a lot of people that some will even give them, just give them away. There's going to be some people thinking, man, I'm ready to get in the homestead. And they went and they just bought a ton of animals. They're in debt up to their ears, and they're just ready to get out of it. Or maybe just get out of goats, or just get out of chickens or something. And they will actually give them animals away. So start paying attention now on social media sites, newspapers, stuff like that, for them opportunities. And like I mentioned in past videos, swap meets and auctions, them are going to be some really good ones. And you guys can also go to your local elevator and feed stores. A lot of them older stores and elevators, they still got them pegboards where people just come and they'll post, they've got 12 piglets, call such and such at this number. You can find some good deals there as well. Composting. So composting is a big one in the fall. If you haven't composted in the past, I do encourage you to do that. So composting, what it does, especially like leaves and sticks and stuff like that. So you'll put all them leaves and stuff in a bin, and you'll stir it up every now and then. Add some water if you ain't getting a whole lot of rain. You don't want it where it's soaking, but you don't want it where it's dry either. And you'll have microbials go in there, and it'll start heating up and breaking all that stuff down. So that compost, whenever you finally go put in your garden, late winter, early spring, it's got a bunch of little fibers all through that. And them fibers are actually going to hold water needed for your plants. So I know a lot of the traditional farmers, you'll see them huge fields, and they just been plowing and plowing and plowing for years. It has very, very little compost. We'll just say that. Now, granted, there might be some corn stalks pieces in there and stuff like that, but most of that is gone. And it's really, really not good, because if you start having any kind of a drought, it's going to dry up like that with just clay or sand even. It's just going to dry it up. So the more compost you have in the ground, the more water that's going to hold, and it's going to keep your plants alive. So keep that in mind. And we've done some videos in the past. If you haven't checked out some of our older videos, go check them out. But we typically use fencing, old fencing, and you can use fencing panels as well. Now you're going to want them, you're going to want the fence or fence panels to be at least 13 to 14 feet long. It don't really matter how tall or high, but whenever you do a compost bin outside, you're going to want it at least 3 feet in diameter, and you're going to need at least 3 feet high for the microbials and the heat to start to work to actually break it down. So you're going to have to also constantly add to it, which in the fall time you are not going to have any problem whatsoever if you guys got any trees. Plus you guys can put, let's say you're going to butcher some chickens or some rabbits and stuff like that. You guys could throw them feathers, the feet, the heads, guts, and any part that you consider waste, and it won't be wasted anymore because that's going to help feed your plants next year. So keep that in mind. Also, a lot of people who been using skids, which anything that's going to allow air to go inside is what you want. You don't want just a solid board or panel or whatever on all sides. You got to let air be able to get into it. So skids will work. If you guys live in town or you don't have that much land and you guys are only doing gardening, you guys can use trash bags. And guys, if you don't have trees, I don't think anybody's going to throw a fit if you go ask them, hey, you mind if I rake some of your leaves up? Most people will love it. They'll appreciate you tremendously, especially if you live in town. But get you a trash bag, throw your leaves in there, add a little water, get a pitchfork or a knife or a screwdriver or something, poke a bunch of holes in that bag, and put that bag in the sun, and it will start decomposing them leaves for next year for your guys' garden. You can also get one of them Rubbermaid tubs, poke some holes in it, especially up there on the lid. You guys throw all your scraps and all your leaves in it. So no matter where you live, you can do that. And with the leaves, whenever you primarily do leaves, it's got so much carbon in it. It has like little to no stink whatsoever. Actually, whenever we did it last year, and I want to flip it, I don't know if you guys ever smelled them Swisher Sweet cigars, but that's exactly what it smelled like. And it did have dead animal parts in it and manure and stuff. I couldn't smell any of that. Them leaves, it just takes over that carbon smell. So you can take a Rubbermaid thing and put it in your house if you have to, or a garage or something. As long as you have carbon over whatever you're putting it on, that will keep the stink way down. Which you can do that in your chicken coop too, FYI. Let's see. All right, so we talked a little bit about going through the woods and stuff. So this is getting close to the time. Actually, this is the time to actually start going through there. Like I mentioned about the persimmons, if you haven't went out and checked it, it's also a good time to go out if you guys hunt to go start looking for deer trails if you guys deer hunt. So whenever you're looking for deer trails, if you're not an experienced hunter and you're just getting into it, what you're going to look for is you're going to look for multiple deer crossing areas. So I got multiple places in my woods where there's 3 or 4 trails all coming together at one spot. That is, you want to set your deer stand or your ground stand near there. That is prime hunting. Also, this is a time to start, well, I'd wait until after the leaves start to fall. But once the leaves start to fall, that is the time you want to go out there and you want to start clearing paths. So let's say you go out there and you find a persimmon tree and you got briars and all kinds of other stuff you got to fight too. If you guys wait till the leaves start to fall, go through there and mow that stuff down. Now granted, you may have to go out there with a weed whacker or something, chop it down or something. Just get all them stuff done in the fall winter time, because like I said, you can see a lot clearer. You got less probability of getting tripped. You can see exactly where them briars are going, because them leaves, it kind of hides it all. So you start doing your trails for that. Also, if you're wanting to do fencing, if you're wanting to add fencing or you don't have fencing, you want to, it's a perfect time to start going through your woods, because like I said, you can see through it. So go through there, start clearing. I don't know, if you got a four-wheeler or a tractor that you're wanting to kind of go along the edge or something in the future, you're going to want to make sure you make it wide enough for that. So whatever size your equipment is, I'd add another at least 3 or 4 feet to your path for your fencing. So it's a good time to start doing that. Plus, it's cooler weather. You guys can be out there longer for the duration. Fall projects. So also coming up, because of the cooler weather and being able to be out there longer, get them huge projects you guys been wanting to do done outside. Because when wintertime hits, if you live in our area anyway, when it gets cold, you ain't going to want to be outside very long. So this is the time to start getting that money ready, start buying materials, start looking for deals and stuff. Because once that cool weather starts coming in, hit it hard. And normally around here in the fall, we have a lower rainfall too. So it's a really good time to get projects done. Right now, we're starting a cellar. I already got most of the block laid, which you guys will see that later on in our videos. But and you know that cellar, it's gonna be really beneficial for us because we sell produce. So granted, it ain't gonna be much good this year because most of our squash is done. But next year we'll be able to put squash, tomatoes, and stuff like that because it's gonna stay roughly 60 degrees all year round in that cellar as long as the door's shut. And if you guys do a cellar, make sure you guys have at least 3 feet of dirt on top of your roof for the insulation, and make sure your door's thick and make sure there's no air going around your door. House renovations. Everybody has a house. Again, if you guys don't have a stove, look for a stove and get a building for it to put in if you don't have one. Greenhouse. So if you guys do gardening and you guys are wanting to get a jump start like a lot of people, I highly recommend you guys getting a greenhouse, especially if you guys live in a climate like we do. We live in 6A climate zone, and I tell you what, it get down to -10, and we can still grow stuff year round. Now granted, most of the stuff we can grow in a greenhouse even would be lettuce and kale and spinach and stuff like that, but hey, we can still grow it if we want to. And you can add a heater to it if you want to grow other stuff in that greenhouse. But like I said, if you want to get a jump start on next year's gardening, man, that's the way to do it. Especially if you guys are wanting to sell stuff too. Because you got to beat your competition, right? Canning. This is also a good time to start learning how to canning if you don't know how to already. Even if you don't have a garden and you're wanting to get into it, homesteading, it's not necessarily you have to have a big operation or anything like that. You can start small scale. Even if you don't do a garden, even if you don't raise animals, you can start even if you're in town. You can go to these farmers markets, you can go to these market stands, and you guys can get good deals on green beans. Get you a half a bushel to a bushel of them and can them. The health benefits from doing this is so much better than buying that store-bought stuff because you guys have no idea what's in that stuff. You don't know what they do. You don't know what their processes are in them particular plants. So, and whenever people are doing it for their own farm, they tend to take better care of how they do things. Most farmers have pride in their work, to whereas a canning factory, these are people who have to work. They don't want to work there more than likely, so they don't have that pride in what they do. So you're liable to get better stuff. You're liable not to get no spit and stuff in your. People are really crazy these times. But start canning, learn how to do that. And plus, like I said, if we have a natural disaster or something bad happens, power grid goes down, most of these lids now, they only last 2 years. I don't know if, I'm sure there's somebody who makes canning lids and stuff that'll last 5 to 10 years like they used to, but most of the newer ones only last 2 years, but still that's 2 years. You just rotate them out. It's healthier for you. There's less chemicals in them, and I do encourage that. All right, the last thing I have for this time of the year is go ahead and start planning on where you want your fruit trees, because when fall comes and the leaves start to fall, that is the perfect time to start planting your fruit trees and your fruit bushes, because like I said, the plants, they can start going dormant. So if you break a branch or you haul them somewhere, it's going to put less stress on that plant. So you plant it whenever it's a stick in the fall, springtime it comes up strong and beautiful. So, and also, let's say if you're just wanting a maple tree from a woods, whether it be your woods or somebody else's, and you want to put it up at your house for a shade tree or an oak tree or something, you figure out where it is now, and once them leaves start to fall, go out there and dig it up then, and then move it. And even pawpaw trees and stuff like that, you can do that in the wintertime. You just got to remember which trees are which. Which, if you want to do that, I recommend getting you some collar coated zip ties. You know, they got like a orange and yellow and blue and whatever, pink. And go up there and put a zip tie on a branch or something like that on them plants. That way when winter time comes up, you guys can take them small plants and you can either pot them for sale for next year, next spring, or you can turn around and take them and transplant them up in your yard. So, all right, guys, that's about all I got for today. If you guys have anything else to add whatsoever, please put a comment. And also, I'd like to know, is this a good time for you guys in the mornings or in the noon, around noon, to be doing these live streams, or if there's a certain time or day that you guys prefer me to do them? So, again, put a comment down below. Tell us what you think. Appreciate you guys.